Hello, it's that time again, people. It's Thursday night and it's wellbeing inspired chat. We've got three members of the wellbeing team this evening. We've got Carl Andrews, we've got Susan Gardner, and we've got me, Sarah Marsden-Shreve. It's a good one tonight. It's a bit of a doozer because it's one of my favourite topics, and I bore people a lot about talking about this particular topic because it's fascinating and it's also something that everybody can relate to in some form or in some part of their life. Nobody has really escaped it because we're bombarded with it so much. And that is the topic of body image. Which I think is a pretty apt subject as well when it comes to, you know, the Inspire Fitness Academy, to be fair, because as a team and everybody involved is involved with fitness and keeping fit and helping their body from within, you know, feeling healthy and happy. But exercise obviously is relatable to body image because body image is part of the broader term self-image, which is basically how we see ourselves physically and aesthetically, from our height to our skin colour, to our hair, to our build, to the bits we like, to the bits we don't like. And, you know, in this day and age and the fact that we are human beings, it means that we compare ourselves to other people and also deem to be modelled by the social image rules and guidelines of what is deemed to be ideal or perfect, which, to be honest, isn't a thing. It shouldn't be, because we should embrace who we are. And we all have stories. We're here to share with you this evening and hopefully pick at the poor body image weave a little bit more this evening. Okay, so Carl, can I invite you to ask you about how you think body image has affected you?
Well, for me, it's been, well, for starters, I'm a man, and men are just starting to come to the realisation and start to admit that body image is important to them. Whereas years ago, men tended to not really show that they were bothered if they were. Now, it is something that bothers you. So it's almost a raw subject for me in that January of this year, I was 22 stone and I was not happy with what I saw in the mirror. And there's a reason why my weight spiraled out of control and got up to that weight. And that was going through a depressive episode and not feeling very well mentally. I lost care of my self-image and what I looked like and what people thought about me and what I perceived people to think about me. I completely lost focus on that. And it was only when it got really bad, to when I was sort of 22 stone, that I was like, I'm not happy being like this way. There's the image side of it, which is one thing. That's how you're perceived by other people and how you believe you're perceived by other people. And there's the physical health. So the thing that was a shock to the system to me was, at work they did a Wellman session where you could go in and have a cholesterol test and a heart rate test and a blood pressure test, and they did your height and weight and generally checked over anything to do with health. And they told me that I was borderline being high blood pressure, which scared me, to be honest. Diabetes and high blood pressure run in my family, and I was like, I don't want to be the next generation of medical patient as I get older. So for me, it was, yes, it was what I looked like. I didn't, when I got out the mirror, got out the shower, and you see yourself in the mirror, it's like, didn't really like what I saw. It's like there's a bit too much here and a bit too much there. And sometimes you'd have to get two mirrors together so you could get yourself in stereo because you were too big for the mirror. And
Like being in a shop, you mean? You know,
like being in a shop.
Having a look round.
it was horrible, and it was at Christmas, and I spoke to Zoe, who's my personal trainer and coach, and we'd gone round to some friend's house, and we were having a few drinks, and we got talking. And I was like, you know what, I'm utterly miserable in my body. I feel like trash. And she was like, I can help you get yourself fitter. So I've been doing that for sort of 6 months now, and I feel a lot better. I mean, I'm still overweight, but I feel better about myself. I feel more confident.
So did you think that your recognition of yourself in the mirror came after you were feeling low? Because it
Yeah,
wasn't a contributor, it was something that you'd noticed or not noticed before. Is that what you're saying?
it wasn't a contributor for me. I wasn't feeling low because I was big. I put on about 7 stone in weight in about 3 years, and that was generally not feeling at my best, not firing on all cylinders, and slowly the weight creeped on. So it was having takeaways and not eating good food. Christmas this year, it was our work's Christmas do, and I had no shirts to go out, and had to go into Marks and Spencer's to buy shirts, and I was 3XL shirts, and that was the biggest size that Marks and Spencer did. And if I got any bigger, I'd have to go to specialist big shops, and I just like that. That ain't the lifestyle for me. That's not what I want to do. That's not how I want to be.
So your trigger then was kind of your health and being told about your blood pressure, and then it came on to, came part of, the struggles that you were having, that you thought, hang on a minute, what's happened here? This is not me, and now my health is in jeopardy. So that fitness and becoming more careful with yourself and more mindful with yourself was a health thing. It was that little nudge. Sometimes we have little triggers like that, don't we? For sure, that makes you think, hang on a minute, I need to tap into this. Why am I not taking care of myself? But it's a slippery slope between your mindset and your self-image, because they do work hand in hand, for sure. It's something that when we're not feeling very good, and we've got other things going on, and we don't give ourselves any care, that this is when we can be the most meanest. So all those voices in our heads start saying really negative things, and then on top of that we start looking for those negative things, and that's what happens when you get in the mirror. You get that negative self-talk, which feeds it even more. But what you did, Carl, was recognize your health was important, and you were mindful of that, and you decided to do something with it. And by doing that, you also helped your mindset, because as we know, exercise and movement of any sort gives us happy chemicals in our brain. So well done, because the first step to accepting ourselves and improving our self-image and our body image is actually to take action, but also to appreciate that you might need to make changes, but more importantly, that you are great and you are good just as you are, but sometimes we need to make little tweaks in order to turn on those happy buttons, if you like, and change your mindset. Because now I bet that you feel more mindful about things, and you're happier with with yourself, not only because you're moving, but you're probably being more mindful about what you're eating. You're mindful in general about your moods, and you're seeking more of the good stuff, I reckon.
Yeah, it's about what you fuel yourself with. Instead of fueling myself with high fat, high carb, high calorie food that was fried or whatever, I'm eating salads. I'm eating fresh. I can't think the last time I ate any kind of processed food for months. The only processed food I did have was when I lost my 4th stone. Sam told me if I lose 4 stone, well, Zoe told me if I lose 4 stone, she'll bring me a kebab round as a treat. And that's the only processed food I had. And the next day, I didn't feel that great because it was fueling myself with the wrong fuel.
Mm.
So
interesting. Isn't that interesting? How your body had become sensitized to any food that was of a lower quality and lower energy as well, you know, because there's an energetic value to food. And I'm guessing here, Carl, that this period of lockdown, it's not as easy to get hold of, or it certainly hasn't been over the last 2 months. It's not been as easy to get hold of those fast foods, the processed foods, the takeaways. So have you found that's helped you in this whole process?
not really. The supply and demand doesn't affect me. I'm a very stubborn person, and I also, if somebody tells me to do something, I'll do it. So I've got Zoe, who's acting as my nutritionist, my coach, my dietitian, my PT. She tells me, do what I say and you will lose weight. So she tells me, eat this type of food. I'm eating that type of food. I'm finding it easier to maintain that than the need for going and getting a curry or whatever I'd like to eat. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love all kinds of food, but I have still been having it. I've been doing it in a different way. I've been making from fresh my own curry. Just a couple of days ago, there's a book called A Pinch of Nom.
I've got that.
What a good book! Have you had the Sloppy Joes yet?
No, but I've had everything else.
What a good book. See, that they've got like curry recipes and things in there, so you can still get the desired perceived need. It's not a physical need, it's a perceived need. It's your body's thinking that it needs something. So if you substitute it for something that's healthier and fresher, you actually prefer it, and you can feel the nutrition rushing through your system.
Yeah, that's absolutely great. And especially the relationship that you have created with Zoe, you know, you have to have that trust, and you had made that decision that you wanted something different. So to then have a coach who is able to holistically support you in that way is tremendous, and clearly is having a very positive effect with you.
You're enjoying it?
Now all my friends are seeing what I'm doing, and my friends are starting to think, bloody hell. So Zoe's now, I was talking to her the other day, she's now got no slots left because people are all booking in with her because of her reputation for being that good. My wife Linda, she's doing a class with Zoe tonight, and it's just good. And it's not so much that, it's I feel prouder the respect that I'm getting off my children. My children are respecting me more. Is
that because they see you as being healthier rather than thinner?
It's a bit of everything. They don't see me lounging on the sofa, drinking a can of beer, stuffing a portion of chips down my face. They see me non-stop, always doing something. I've got energy that I've never had before. I've got abundance of energy. I'm going for runs. The kids see me going for runs. They see me going out on my bike. They see me taking the dog on 2-hour walks. They see me eating healthy food. And the children are really respecting me more, in my perception.
It's lucky really that you had that trigger and you acted on it, because a lot of people, they don't get those triggers, or they don't act on it so much because for health reasons for you, but for other people, it's because they have a lot of inlaid belief systems going on in their head that they've picked up from school, what people have said to them, whether it's bullying or whether it's, you know, negative comments, criticisms, lots and lots of things. And that makes up people's stories. And it can, you know, it can build on your self-image and make it, you know, not as positive. Certainly for bullying, you know, that was my story. And then having problems with, you know, having babies and things like that. So I fell out of my body image was very poor because I did not value myself. You are valuing yourself now, Carl, and well done. But, you know, it's very hard for a lot of people because they're focused and they're hearing these stories in their head, which is the self-critic, you know, the negative talk, so much that they believe it. And a lot of the time it's not true. And obviously also it's hard to get out of that negative pattern because, you know, it sticks. It's quite hard to get out of, to make things more positive. You've got to get the positive mindset going to try and change that for sure. So well done.
I mean, so you said, I find it really interesting that you say that you had negative perceptions of yourself. And to me, we've known each other, what, 9 weeks now? And you seem very conscious, very stylish person. And I'm like, how can you have those insecurities? So what did it manifest itself as for you?
Well, with those stories that I've, you know, I used to look in the mirror and I used to think I was ugly because I had ugly disease at school. I was bigger than all my friends. So I always thought I was the fat one, you know. Then with my body, I perceived to not be working properly. I wasn't even, you know, I'm a female, I'm supposed to be able to conceive, you know. I felt lots and lots of quite nasty things. And I used to say quite a lot of nasty things to myself in my head, which, you know, affects your confidence, it affects your self-worth, your mood. Wearing clothes, you think, oh God, I look awful in this. I wish I was taller, wish I was thinner, wish I was browner. It could be lots of different things. I wish my hair was different. And that's what it is for a lot of other people. So although some people may seem quite confident, they will have a story and there will be bits of them that they do not like, as we all do. There's bits of me that I prefer other bits to other bits, but that's okay, because what we need to do is see ourselves as a whole rather than a nose or a bum or tops of our arms, or, do you know what I mean? Because a lot of people will focus on one thing particularly and then it will just keep going.
That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I know it's something very personal, but if we don't talk about these things, then people don't realise. I mean,
well, body image is different to different people. Do you know what I mean? It might, I mean, some ladies might be more concerned about having a big chest or no chest, or big bum, little bum, flat bum. And men, well, we know what they worry about a lot. You know, it's not just their manhoods; it can be their,
I don't know what you mean,
or the or whether the Y shape, or, you know, athletic or not athletic, or man bod, and all these things that go around, because we're all seeing social media and all these perfect bodies on Love Island and things like that. We think, I don't look like that, so that means I'm rubbish because they're beautiful and popular. And that's unfortunately how it starts, especially with young kids.
Yeah, which of course Sarah knows that my story when I was a kid, it was I was made fun of because I had no chest. And I didn't actually grow to any real height until I was 15, and that was when it all happened. It all happened all in one go. But so it was as much a surprise to myself as it was, I think, to everybody else. But that was, for me, it was a few years of horror and around wishing that I had some breasts of some sort. And yeah, that had a massive impact on me. I just wanted to be able to wear a bra, but you know, there was nothing there to fill a bra. But yes, and naturally kids can be so cruel, and it took a bit of talking to myself at a later stage of my life when I realized just quite what an impact that had on my self-esteem in particular, and being a girl, you know. And I think for a long time I was typically a tomboy to match my figure, and match the parts that I was being teased about. But you know, it's funny how things evolve later on. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go into any more of that. I think that's enough to share with you.
This is it, because puberty, you know, they're the crucial age really when you're developing. I mean, I said to Carl before we came on here, didn't to Carl, oh, I've got a massive zit right under my nose. And I went, oh, well, I don't mind. I must be going through puberty again, which means I'm still young. You know what I mean? So there's, I mean, you know, without having to contend with ageism, sexism, racism, and God knows what else, we should be just thinking about being inclusive. Do you know what I mean? Because we're greater than the sum of our parts. Our other halves don't look at us and go, like, for instance, with me, particularly my belly's a bit soft because I've had 2 C-sections. My husband doesn't go look at me and go, oh, here comes my missus with a wobbly belly. He doesn't think that. He sees, oh, here comes my missus. She's good at this and she's so caring and stuff like that. And we forget that. We think everybody else is seeing what we don't like and what we focus on. And in actual fact, they are not. They're seeing the big picture of everything that is good about you. And those are the people that care about you. And that's how they see you. They don't see the nose or, you know, the bum or the receding hairline or whatever it might be. They don't see that. They just see Carl, Sarah, Susan, or Jeff, Bob, Harry, whoever. And we need to remember that, because when we talk to ourselves harshly, you wouldn't talk to a friend like that, would you?
It's interesting as well how you use clothing to, I'm not sure if mask is the right word.
Some do.
Yeah.
But I know when I shared my story about going and buying shirts because nothing fitted, that was largely, I'm a real ale drinker. And
My husband is.
If you saw me from behind, you wouldn't guess that I was overweight. All my weight is on my belly. Well, was on my belly. It's getting a lot better now, but I just had a massive tank in front of me. And at Christmas, I was trying on shirts, and all my shirts were absolutely tight. If a button went, it would have took someone's eye out. And
Carl,
I went and got some bigger shirts, the 3XL shirts. And once I got them, I felt so much more confident because my clothes weren't being stretched and the clothes were masking me. I felt a lot more confident. I was still the big guy, the big fat baldy, but I felt more confident.
Well, you know, clothes they can be your friends. You know, they can be your foes as well, but they can mostly be your friends because, I mean, the image consultant part of my business, which is the stylist and dressing for your shape and the colour, but most importantly, personality. Clothes are, you know, we can't walk around naked, let's be honest, can we? So clothes can be your friends and they can show your personality, they can camouflage and they can create focus as well. And it's like I always say to my clients, because, you know, more often than not, when you're a bit worried about your body image, you know, size is something that worries a lot of people. You know, the old tag, whether it's, you know, an 8 to an 18 or a 3XL to a extra small, because don't forget, poor body image can not just mean on the larger scale, it can also mean on the smaller scale, because they equally have trouble with clothes, you know. So this thing, this social Western thing about being thin means healthy and popular, is sadly, fueled by sizing and fashion and all this sort of thing. When in actual fact, cut it out. No one cares. You don't have to tell people what the size is in your clothes. Do you know what I mean? As long as it fits, that's all that matters, because nobody else knows but you.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting.
And somewhat ironic as well to think that in this generation is so different to just 300 to 400 years ago in the times where the more weight that someone carried was seen as it was an iconic and gesture that they were wealthy, because they were carrying more weight, because they were able to eat more food. They had access to food. So, we see all these changes from generation to generation, depending on what's happening in society, what's happening in that part of the world. And I think there's still an element of that in certain parts of the world, which is interesting.
Yeah, because in Mauritania, they force feed girls, don't they, before they get married, because they want to plump them up. And that's a cultural thing. That's in Africa. I think Mauritania is in Africa. Yeah. And, and in some cultures, bigger is better for them. So, it's only in the Western cultures, really, that we've got this ideal that thin is, at the moment, it may well change. Everybody's getting, thankfully, a lot more inclusive these days. But, so, time, culture, background, social media, there's lots of things that influence it, for sure. I mean, do you remember I don't know what, it might have been in the noughties, when it was size 0? Do you remember all that nonsense?
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the size of a child, and that was supposed to be attractive. I mean, that's not healthy. And all those girls were starving themselves, and boys, which then led to eating disorders. So, body image, we need to tread very, very carefully, especially with young people, what we read and what we watch, because what we see is portrayed as being attractive, ideal, perfect, isn't necessarily at all. The most important thing is to be happy within your own skin. That's the first step, which is a big step, and it takes time. It's not an instant fix, but, I encourage people to start looking for the good in them. That's the first start. Oh God, they dried up then. I would definitely start looking for the good stuff. And it doesn't even have to be aesthetic.
To me, it's less about the aestheticness. It's more about the health. So I've now got a healthy blood pressure. I feel a lot healthier. It's my whole ecosystem of my body feels better. My skin feels softer. Now, I've suffered from eczema for years, and I'm hardly putting any cream on. Just my whole body is thriving with the right foods and stuff. So it's all linked to body image, but for me, it's about being healthy as much as anything.
Yeah. And that was your thing that started the whole process and started to help you feel more worthy and more valuable. Do you know what I mean, as a person? And that's really important. And the rest will follow suit. Any little positive steps, if you continue, it has a knock-on effect with lots of other things, and you'll start feeling better in other things as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
And I think talking about this, it's really just to get clarity around what we're saying here, is that to have a motivation which is really powerful and it gets your attention and you commit yourself to it is such a powerful thing to do. So for anyone who is watching us talking about this particular subject, it may be something else outside of health, but it just needs to be something so that you feel very strongly about, that you've just got to do it because, and that will give you all the motivation, all the the focus that you need to help yourself. And self-care is one of the big things that goes straight out of the window when we're dealing with other let's say health conditions, challenges, and actually that's the thing that we need to get back into focus, into balance in all the areas in our life, so that as you're saying, Carl, bringing that wonderful grounded attention to all these areas of your life. They're all contributing the whole thing, so you're creating that fantastic environment, that ecosystem. I love that, how you describe that. And that is it, because you're working on your inside out, you know. We can do all sorts of wonderful pampering things to the outside of us and have lovely massages, which are all part of it, but actually it's what we're feeding into ourselves, you know, physically, emotionally, mentally, you know, all that is a huge part of the whole.
Yeah.
Positive people as well. Anybody that shames you, criticizes you, uses negative words, they're not helpful. So I always encourage you to try and change the wording, or just, you know, forgive them because they don't understand.
Yeah, I don't do anything for anybody else. What I do for me.
Cool.
So yeah, self-care, and start liking at least one thing about yourself every day and take it from there, and be kinder to yourself. Your self-talk, be kinder.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time, everybody, and we'll see you on next week's show.
Thank you.
Bye.